The film begins with a woman named Diane and her boyfriend Rick doing a live stream. They talk about how they are sneaking into a restricted place for an adventure. They are also connected with their two friends, Cora and Vernon. All four of them dress up as railway maintenance workers to avoid suspicion and manage to get past security and board a train. After the train starts moving, they open a trash box. Inside it, where another man named JD is hiding. Once everything is clear, all of them jump out of the train, successfully sneaking into the location. Then they reach a hallway where the walls are covered with graffiti. Cora gets excited and asks if it could be a real Basquiat piece. Rick says that's what people believe, that these artworks were made before the artist became famous and started selling for millions. Rick then reminds everyone of their rule. They should only document everything and leave, and most importantly, not touch anything. While the group is busy recording the graffiti, JD suddenly starts breaking a piece off the wall, planning to sell it. Rick immediately gets angry and asks what he's doing. JD says he's not even sure if it's real, but this could be their chance to make money. Rick firmly tells him that they don't touch anything. That's their rule. But JD ignores him and says he doesn't care about their code. This leads to a fight between them. Rick finally loses patience and tells JD to take his things and leave, saying this is not what they do. As JD walks away, he mocks them, saying he'd rather be rich than stay nobodies like them. In the next scene, the group uploads their video, but it gets only 82 views, which disappoints them. Seeing this, Rick tries to cheer everyone up by introducing a new idea. He tells them about a place called the Paragon, an old hotel near the shore. Rick explains that he researched it online and found that a famous gangster named Meyer Lansky supposedly hid $300 million there. Rick adds that, according to stories, anyone who went looking for that money was never seen again. Some even say the place is full of evil and doesn't welcome visitors. Diane feels that it sounds dangerous, but Cora gets excited thinking about what they could do with that much money. Vernon also agrees, saying it wouldn't be a bad thing if they accidentally found some of it. However, Rick quickly reminds them of their rule. They only document, nothing more. He warns them not to get any ideas and says they will go as a team, with no one doing anything alone for social media. He asks if everyone agrees, and they all say yes. Later, Diane and the others watch a video and realize that their former member JB has joined a rival group called Scavenger. In the video, JB acts arrogant and shows off the graffiti piece he stole earlier. He brags about it, saying it's probably worth a lot of money, even though he doesn't really know much about it. He then mocks his old team, calling them broken nobodies, clearly trying to insult them. The scavenger leader, Todd, also appears, hyping things up, showing that his group is now openly challenging them. Diane gets annoyed after watching the video and decides to respond. She comments on their video, trying to hint at their next big plan. She writes, "Wait till you see what's next, Paragon." Later that night, the group gathers at the motel before going to the Paragon. Rick notices that Diane is not there yet. While they are talking, someone knocks on the door, and a man named Frank is seen standing outside. He introduces himself as being from Vice News. Cora recognizes him and lets him in, as he had messaged her earlier. Soon, Diane arrives and asks who he is. Frank explains that he wants to document their visit to the Paragon and says he found out about it through Diane's post. Diane apologizes for posting it, realizing it caused this situation. Cora supports Frank joining them, thinking it could help their social media grow. However, both Rick and Vernon are clearly against the idea. Rick says it's a bad idea and doesn't want an outsider with them, while Vernon is suspicious and even thinks Frank might be a cop. Despite their objections, Diane insists on moving forward and says she trusts the plan. In the end, the group reluctantly agrees. Outside, they realize they forgot to bring Diesel and argue about whose responsibility it was. Frank then offers to take them in his car, and the group finally decides to go to the Paragon with him. Later, the group enters a tunnel to reach the Paragon Hotel. Inside, they crawl through a narrow sewer pipe. While moving through it, a swarm of rats suddenly rushes past them. Scared, everyone stays still and covers themselves until the rats pass. After coming out of the pipe, they find their way blocked by a gate, with many luggage bags piled around it. Diane says there must be another way and decides to go look for it. Meanwhile, Cora uses a cutter to break the lock on the gate. Once the gate is opened, Cora calls out for Diane to come back, saying they found a way in. But without waiting for her, the rest of the group enters through the gate, leaving Diane behind. Soon, Rick, Vernon, Cora, and Frank enter the Paragon Hotel and begin recording everything. Rick starts a live stream and shouts loudly, which suddenly disturbs a group of birds. The birds fly away in panic, causing a hanging light above to break and fall toward Cora. Luckily, she manages to move just in time and escapes without getting hurt. Meanwhile, Diane enters the Paragon on her own and also starts live streaming. screaming. During this, Rick tries to call her, but she ignores the call. Suddenly, she hears a strange noise nearby. At first, she thinks it's just rats, but the sound grows louder and more unsettling. Realizing something isn't right, she calls out, thinking someone is playing a prank. As the noise gets closer, Diane starts running in fear, but she suddenly trips and falls. Just then, behind her, a monstrous hand appears, and the scene cuts. Meanwhile, Rick keeps trying to call Diane, but she doesn't pick up. Frustrated and worried, he says she isn't answering. Cora tells him to calm down and says Diane is probably fine and might just be trying to prank them. Rick, still concerned, decides they should do things properly and search the place carefully, going room by room and floor by floor. At the same time, Vernon continues recording the hotel and notices a strange scratch mark on a wall. He takes a photo of it and later shows it to the group. Seeing it makes them more uneasy, and Rick says they should find Diane and leave as soon as possible. Cora suggests checking the concierge desk to see if she can find a master key to access the rooms. Rick agrees and tells her to go ahead. Frank then says someone should go with her, and Vernon steps in, saying he'll go with Cora. Rick and Frank continue searching for Diane. While searching the desk for keys, Vernon finds an old newspaper. It says that the owner of Paragon went missing after his wife was murdered, and the hotel was later set to close. The report also mentions that details were kept secret due to the ongoing investigation, but rumors say the wife's chest was found open and her heart was removed. Meanwhile, Rick and Frank continue searching for Diane, but suddenly Rick steps on a bear trap, badly injuring his leg. He screams in pain, and hearing this, Cora and Vernon quickly rush to them. Frank immediately gives first aid to stop the bleeding. Just then, they hear a phone ringing from upstairs, and all of them decide to go check. They enter a room and are shocked to see many phones hanging from a tree-like structure. Rick recognizes one of them and says it's Diane's phone. They check it and find a video showing Diane running from something, clearly terrified. But before they can see more, the battery dies. Now scared, Vernon says they should call the police. Cora agrees, saying they need real help, but Rick insists they don't have time to wait. Frank supports Rick and says they should keep moving, but warns everyone to stay quiet. While searching, JB suddenly scares them, and in panic, Cora punches him. Just then, the scavenger crew surrounds the group. Their leader, Todd, starts questioning them about the $300 million. The group says they don't know anything, but Todd doesn't believe them and threatens Cora at gunpoint. To distract him, Frank steps in and says he is not here for money. He explains that he is actually looking for his wife, who was a reporter. She went missing a few months ago along with her photographer while investigating the hotel's owner. He adds that the police were no help, and when he saw Diane's post about the Paragon, he realized they had found a way inside. Todd doesn't care about his story and keeps pressuring them for the money. When Cora refuses to cooperate and even spits on his face, Todd gets angry. As he wipes his face, Rick notices that the cloth he is using belongs to Diane. Before Rick can react, Todd suddenly pushes him from the higher floor. JD questions, saying this wasn't part of the plan and that they were only supposed to scare them. But Todd slaps him and warns him to stay quiet, making it clear that he only cares about the money. Todd then forces Frank to take him to the office where the money might be. Frank then says the office location is marked on the blueprints and that Rick had the only copy. Realizing this, Todd orders everyone to go find Rick. While searching for Rick, the group finds a body lying on the other side of a broken floor. There's a gap in between, making it hard to reach. Todd orders Cora to cross and get the blueprint from Rick. With no choice, she uses wires to swing across and reaches the other side. But when she checks, she realizes the body is just a skeleton, not Rick. Without warning, Todd shoots the wire, cutting it off and trapping Cora there. Then the group cruelly leaves her behind and walks away with Vernon and Frank. While searching, they hear strange noises from rooms 733. They open the door and find a wardrobe. When Todd's friend Mac checks inside, a hand suddenly moves, scaring everyone, and they point their guns. A frightened woman named Beth comes out, begging for help. Frank recognizes her. She had come with his missing wife. But Beth, terrified, warns them that something is coming and that they are all going to die. Todd forces everyone to kneel and takes night vision goggles. He and Mac start searching the dark room, but suddenly JB is attacked by something unseen and is killed instantly. In panic, Todd and Mac start firing wildly after briefly seeing the creature. After the chaos, the creature disappears and Todd and Mac run away. Meanwhile, Frank realizes that Beth has been shot during the confusion, killing her. In the next scene, Cora enters a room and finds Rick hiding under the bed. Suddenly, they hear strange noises from the ceiling. Rick quickly tells her to hide, so Cora hides inside the wardrobe while Rick stays under the bed. A pale, creepy creature enters the room and starts looking around. Cora quietly peeks and sees it. The creature then opens the wardrobe, but Cora cleverly hangs on the top inside the wardrobe, leaving her hoodie behind. The creature smells the hoodie and almost finds Cora. Before it can grab her, Rick jumps out and attacks the creature to distract it. This gives Cora a chance to escape, but the creature grabs Rick by the neck and violently throws him. Meanwhile, Cora runs toward the elevator, trying to escape. The creature chases her and almost catches her, but she quickly manages to turn on the elevator just in time and escapes. The elevator takes her to the upper floor. Once there, she runs through the halls in panic and eventually ends up in the control room. In the next scene, Diane wakes up in a room filled with ritual items. She panics and tries to open the door, but it's locked. While searching, she finds a book called His Dark Mystery. At the same time, Cora watches a tape in the control room. In it, the hotel owner talks about a dark secret that can make him more than human. He explains that by consuming a human heart, a person can gain supernatural power. He also says that for the final transformation, two souls must be joined through a ritual, turning the person into a beast with eternal life and dark powers. It is revealed that the hotel owner killed his own wife and consumed her heart to gain supernatural power, but the ritual failed. Because of that, the creature is still waiting for a perfect host to complete the ritual and achieve its final transformation. In another scene, Todd and Mac look for a way to escape, but instead find a room filled with $300 million in cash. While Todd gets distracted and starts grabbing the money, Mac notices something horrifying: a skeleton on the floor with its chest cut open and the heart missing. Terrified, Mac tries to run away, but before he can escape the hotel, a rope suddenly slashes and kills him. Meanwhile, the pale creature finds Todd, kills him, and takes his heart. At the same time, Diane reads the book and notices a wedding dress. Suddenly, she sees the pale creature and gets terrified. In another scene, Frank and Vernon find the same rope that killed Mac and discover his body with the heart missing. Just then, Cora contacts them through the walkie-talkie, saying she has found Diane. But she also spots the creature heading toward them and urgently tells Frank and Vernon to run. They panic and run through the hotel, eventually reaching the kitchen. They block the kitchen door and grab a knife for safety. Cora tells them through the walkie-talkie to escape using a shaft. When they check, they realize the motor isn't working, so they must use it manually. Frank tells Vernon to go first. Vernon climbs by pulling the shaft manually and manages to reach Cora at the top. Meanwhile, the creature starts breaking into the kitchen. Frank quickly grabs the shaft and begins pulling himself up. As he climbs, he sees the creature climbing to reach him. In panic, he tells Vernon to cut the cable. Vernon does it, and just in time, Frank jumps onto the upper floor while the shaft falls down, taking the creature with it. Later, Cora tells Frank over the walkie-talkie that she found someone on the 9th floor. Frank rushes there and discovers his wife's dead body with her heart missing. Heartbroken, he takes a moment to mourn her and kisses her goodbye. After that, Frank reunites with Cora and Vernon. Frank asks if there's any sign of Rick, and Cora says he saved her, but she doesn't know where he is now. Frank then says they need to find Diane. Cora shows him the monitor, revealing Diane's location, and Frank decides to go get her while telling Cora and Vernon to keep watching. Meanwhile, Diane dresses up in a wedding dress and waits for the creature. When it approaches, she smiles and walks toward it, but suddenly attacks it with the book and runs away, trying to escape. The creature chases Diane and manages to catch her. Just then, Frank arrives and charges at the creature to save her. The impact causes both of them to fall from the upper floor. During the fall, the creature gets impaled on a tree branch, killing it, but Frank also dies in the process. After seeing all this, Diane breaks down and cries, calling out for Frank. At the same time, Cora manages to contact her through a walkie-talkie. Relieved, Cora says she's glad Diane is alive and asks if Frank is with her. Diane says that Frank saved her life, but sadly reveals that he is dead. Diane then asks if Rick is with them, and Cora hesitates. Gently, she tells Diane that Rick saved her life but didn't make it. Shocked and emotional, Diane asks where they last saw him. Cora tells her it was in a room on the 3rd floor at the end of the hall. Hearing this, Diane immediately runs to the 3rd floor. She finds Rick lying there and breaks down in tears, thinking he is dead. But suddenly, Rick wakes up. Overwhelmed with relief, Diane hugs him and cries. Soon, Cora and Vernon also arrive, and the group shares an emotional reunion. After escaping the Paragon Hotel, the group shares their terrifying experience online. The video quickly goes viral, reaching 100 million views. Despite their success, they are still mourning the loss of Frank. During this moment, Rick says he has a surprise and reveals that he took some of the money from the hotel. He says a little won't hurt their code, leaving his friends surprised and happy, and the movie ends. And that wraps up Do Not Enter. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell for more chilling movie stories. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.